It's 11 p.m. Your thumb is scrolling, and in one breath, it happens. A wedding, a house key held up to a camera, a job title you don't have yet on someone younger than you. And the voice you know too well whispers, everyone else got the instructions, and you missed the meeting. You have been told you're lazy, you have been told you self-sabotage, that you're wasting your 20s or your 30s or whatever number is currently haunting you. You lie awake doing the math on how late you are. But what if the math is fake? What if the race you're losing was never being run? That ache isn't proof you're behind, it's a very old survival instinct. What psychologists call social comparison, misfiring inside a machine it was never built for. You're not a failure. You're a highly calibrated comparer, someone whose measuring instinct runs hotter and finer than most, aimed at the wrong target. Today, let's find out what it's really measuring, why the finish line is a lie, and how to read that ache as a map. So if you're not broken, why does the ache feel so personal, like it knows exactly where to cut? That reflex to measure yourself against everyone else is what researchers have called social comparison theory since the 1950s. Your brain has no built-in ruler for how you're doing, so it borrows one. It grabs the nearest person and uses them as the measuring stick. Picture a set of scales. On one side, your whole messy life. On the other, a stranger. For most of history, that stranger was one of maybe 100 people in your village, and knowing where you stood kept you safe. But now, the other side holds the top 1% of 8 billion people, each on their best day. Of course you tip toward feeling behind. But if the scale is rigged, why do you still believe there's a schedule you're supposed to be keeping? Because feeling behind assumes there's a clock ticking on a wall, a correct age to hit each milestone. Psychologists call that the social clock, the invisible timetable your culture hands you for when to marry, when to earn, when to arrive. Picture a clock with no numbers, just the ones people painted on afterward. It feels like a law of nature, but it's an average wearing the costume of a deadline. The founder you envy may have failed for a decade behind the curtain. The person who arrived early at one thing is quietly years late at 3 others you'll never see. Nobody fired a starting gun. You drew the line yourself, then felt late for crossing it. So if the clock is fake, could the envy underneath it actually be worth something? It can. That sharp sting when you see someone win is not an enemy, it's data. You do not envy everyone equally. You feel it hardest around the exact things you secretly want. Imagine 2 arrows leaving the same bow. Researchers split this feeling in 2. One points down and inward, the corrosive kind, where someone's success just makes you feel small. The other is what they call upward comparison, that inspires, an arrow flying toward an open door. Same bow, opposite flight. That sting is a compass needle pointing straight at the life you actually care about, the moment you read it as a heading instead of a sentence. So what are you supposed to be walking toward? Here is the one image I'll leave you with, but let's be honest about the cost first. Constant comparison is exhausting. It steals the joy from things you genuinely earned. It makes your own growth invisible because your eyes are always on someone else's field. Picture a single plant with its roots deep in its own patch of soil. Above ground, it looks like it's racing every other stem for the sky. It isn't. Underground, it drinks from soil no other plant can reach, on a schedule only it knows. That is you. The work was never to grow faster. The work is to feel your own roots. So do 3 things. Once a day, run 1 comparison only, against who you were 6 months ago, because that's the only plant sharing your roots. Second, when envy stings, write down exactly what you envied, because that list is your soil telling you what it's ready to grow. Third, prune the feeds that only make you measure your stem, and keep the ones that water it. You are not behind. You are a highly calibrated comparer who finally knows where to point the instrument. There is no clock, no meeting, no field you're losing. There is only your soil and how you tend it. If you want to keep uncovering the quiet machinery behind your own thoughts, stay a while, explore the other videos here, and subscribe, because your mind is far stranger and far kinder than you've been told.